That's very possible. Yeah, we might have to bring one or both of them up.
Is it now a question about which one? I mean, are you eager to see Dial this week to see if he could be brought up?
Correct. Yeah, he practiced yesterday, got a bunch of reps in, did fine. Want to see where he's at today. Sometimes the day after kind of tells you a story too. So we'll see where he's at today and then tomorrow. And we don't have to make any of those decisions till Saturday.
I realize it was just one day of practice, but what did you see?
He did fine. Thought he moved around well. Mixed in, was pretty good on his assignments, and overall was pleased with the way he practiced yesterday.
Is he ahead of Carradine as far as what you've seen on the field?
Yeah, probably a little bit, but not a lot. You know, it's hard to say that after one day. You know, Tank had a little more severe injury than Quentin.
Is that just a matter of stamina to see how much they can do?
Well, stamina is going to be an issue. You know, obviously they can't go out there and play 10 plays in a row or even 8, you know, so we'd have to stay abreast of that and during the game if they're playing, how many plays in a row they can play or play totally.
Tank said yesterday he spent a lot of time in the film room and he feels pretty prepared mentally. Did you see that from him? What type of preparation did you see from him in the meetings?
Well, both of those guys were in all the meetings from day one. So, you know, again, like I said earlier, they being in the meeting, studying in a meeting, seeing it on tape, and actually doing it is two different things. So they got to show it on the field that they know what to do rather than in a meeting room. And they're in the process of doing that. And overall, based upon this is day one for them, no OTAs, no training camp, I thought they both did fine.
Where's Purcell? Is he in that mix too for a guy who could be active on Sunday?
Yes, he is.
What do you like about him? Where does he stand?
Well, Michael is, you know, obviously ahead of those guys. He had all the off-season work. He had all the training camp, played in preseason games. And, you know, Mike's able to go in there and battle in the trenches for us. He can play nose or he can play in for us. So he's versatile. He's experienced when you compare him to Quentin and Tank. So, you know, he's ready to go if needed.
A lot of people figure those guys who are coming off the NFI list probably more realistic after the bye week. Where do you stand right now on that?
Well, that would obviously be good in a perfect world, but we're not in a perfect world right now with the status of our defensive line. So we got to do what we got to do.
With Tony, I'm assuming we'll play, get most of the reps there during the game regardless of what happens. How do you feel about what he brought to the table after Glenn was down?
He did fine in there on this past game. You know, Tony's been here now for 2 years, and he's progressed a lot in a short period of time as a player, and both physically he's improved his body, and he's gotten to play here a fair amount in the last 2-3 games, and his work is paying off, and there still has a lot of improvement he can make, but we're pleased with where he's at right now.
In what areas did you have to coach Corey throughout the offseason?
Well, being a linebacker, number one, you know, to where you have to drop, and then the hardest thing any of those guys go through is when they are a dropper, figuring out if it's a run or a pass. You know, he's spent his college days with his hand down coming forward all the time. Now you get in a 2-point stance, which is foreign to you, and you might have to go backwards. So the process, the decision-making of figuring out run or pass and going backwards is always the hardest thing for those guys in the beginning.
Alden had to do the same adjustment, correct?
Correct, but Alden didn't have an off-season work. Alden's rookie year was the year of the lockout, and we didn't get him until training camp. So Alden was behind the 8 ball in that regard.
So how has Corey fared in that in the last couple of games, figuring out?
Well, Corey hadn't played in the base, so what he's been playing for us is what he did in college, basically. So he hadn't really played. He's had a few snaps where he played linebacker, but not many.
Do the Titans use Delaney Walker like you guys used to, where he's moving around and a lot of people spot?
They do. You know, they move him around a pretty good bit and utilize him as a fullback type guy and a tight end type guy, and they move him around.
Is their goal to match him up on a linebacker and then use him for passing situation?
Well, I think that's the goal of anybody's offense if they have a good tight end to try and get him matched up on a tight end, on a linebacker.
How do you like that matchup, Willis versus
Well, we'll see on Sunday, but Patrick has covered some good tight ends in his past, and Delaney's a very good tight end, as we all know, and we'll see how Pat does on Sunday against them.
Did his physical condition impact how you used him last week? Talking about that.
Not really, not really.
Couple more. Do you agree with Tim that he was rusty, that he wasn't quite 100% Patrick Willis last week?
Yeah, he wasn't quite. He wasn't 100%. You go through 2 weeks of total inactivity, and then you come back to practice, and you're dealing with a leg injury that is still lingering there with you. You don't always have your confidence, but he played fine, and I think he'll be better this week.
The last couple of weeks, especially, you guys have had success with the turnovers. What do you attribute that to, especially the last couple of weeks?
Well, just first off, every interception has a story behind it, both from the offensive standpoint and the defensive standpoint. And we've been in the right place at the right time on some routes, and we've gotten the ball picked off.